I don't think in recent human history we had so little creativity like we're having today. And I think it started with the writer's strike, which took place a couple of years ago in America. But ever since then, you notice a severe drop in the quality of entertainment. And it's getting so bad to the point where I can't name you five original movies which came out this year and were good. Because everything is a sequel, everything is a remake, everything is a prequel, everything is just a corporate product devoid of artistic talent. You see, in my opinion, art comes from the soul. It requires an artist with a vision to create something. But unfortunately, now movies are made in boardrooms, and instead of putting the art first, instead of trying to create something beautiful, they're trying to create the product that would sell. And unfortunately, even if logic would dictate that this would work, and if you try to create a product that would sell, will sell, turns out that's not the case. Turns out that things that were actually made in the vision of an artist would sell a lot better than what they're doing today. But let me give you another reason why sequels and prequels usually don't work. There are a couple of movies that worked only with the current culture of that time. And James Bond, and I would also say Indiana Jones, are great examples of this. You see, when Indiana Jones first came out, just like when James Bond first came out, people didn't have access to the internet. People didn't know much about faraway places. People didn't really understand a lot about human history and psychology. Because there was no social media, there were no smartphones. People only knew about what happens outside of their country from those little 10 minutes they would see during the news segment when they would talk about the foreign place, or maybe they had a book that they could read in their library, but mostly like people didn't know. So when you talked about an old ancient jungle which has ruins in it, it was kind of believable. And when you talked about like a rich guy that has an island with a doom laser, and you need to send a spy in there in order to stop him from destroying the world, man, when I was a kid in high school, I totally believed that. It looked very convincing, and not just me, but my friends as well. Or when you look at the 80s movies where you have John Rambo and he's out there in the open and everyone is shooting at him and no bullet actually manages to hit him. And he never reloads his gun. Again, like that didn't really break immersion because most people didn't play Counter-Strike at the time. Now that people play Call of Duty and video games, they know how ridiculous those scenes are. And it just completely demolishes immersion. You just can't get into it. It's what, a temple inside the jungle? Like, we already have been there. There's Starbucks now in almost every jungle. We have conquered most of the earth. What do you mean a temple that is still surviving and the traps are still working? What about the degradation of time? Like, what are those traps made out of that the time itself doesn't make the wood to rot? The boulder doesn't just fall down from an earthquake or something. Like, what is that nonsense? And a guy on an island with a doom laser, that's not how evil people operate. Evil people are out in the open. Like, you don't get Klaus Schwab on an island somewhere. No, he's like in charge. He's the one that's very charismatic and people like him because of it. You don't need to be an evil genius on an island in order to try to take for world domination. Jeff Bezos isn't alone on an island with a doom laser. No, he's trying to advise governments on how to do policy. And he's worried that the people that unionize use mail-in voting because, you know, he's against democracy. He doesn't know just how safe and secure mail-in voting is. So when you know that, like when you know those things, because you see them on social media, you hear about them. When you see a movie like that, it breaks immersion. So now when you have James Bond, like what do? Do you go on an island with a guy with a doom laser? No. You have to get rid of that. But if you get rid of that, you get rid of the essence on why James Bond was cool. And then, of course, you have the political correctness, which would make you unable to address current issues because it would be too problematic. So, for instance, the last time someone tried to address current issues was the Joker, and I think it did an excellent job at it because you had left-leaning people going and seeing the Joker, and they were like, yeah, this is what we're complaining about. You know, if only Bernie Sanders would win the elections, it's like life would be a better place. And then you had right-wingers going to see the Joker. It's like, oh yes, this is exactly what's going on. So you have like a guy that's trying to win elections to bring it better, but then you have like the Antifa burning it down. And like that was a good movie. Everyone that saw it was a good movie. Do you remember how much journalists complained about it and how much they fear-mongered about it? Like they would say, oh look, we can't let this movie out because something incel. I bet like all those journalists were praying that some bad thing will happen at a cinema, so they would be like, we told you so. We told you so. This is why you need to listen to us when you create art. This is why you should take into account our job. While we're soaked in cat piss working for The Guardian. Because we're lonely and we don't have anyone else. And we're antisocial. But you should listen to us anyway, because we can predict stuff. Yeah. James Bond can't be James Bond because it's current year. And you have journalists whining about James Bond. I'll make another video about it. So you can't even have the original character. You can't even have the original script. You can't use things that made the show great. Like, why are you making it? Why are you making another sequel? It was good while it lasted. Why are you doing this? And then, of course, you know, it's the forced diversity thing. Now, I don't mind, you know, seeing a black woman in James Bond, but I would like to see her go on the hero's journey, not, have you ever drove this plane? No, I haven't, she says as she gets on the front seat, and then begins to fly it perfectly. Get the fuck out! There's a reason why the hero's journey is important. I mean, think about video games. Imagine if you're playing Diablo, and you can just, from the start of the game, be incredibly powerful, you get all the loot, you're max level, and you just walk up to Diablo, boom, and you kill. What kind of game would be that? The journey is the important thing, like the path where you're building up and you're gathering experience and you're leveling. And eventually you get good gear, and then you manage to defeat Diablo. Like that's really cool. Like that is literally why people play the game. That's the hero's journey, going from zero to hero. That is very important, especially in a thing like where you're trying to character build. You know, like, why can't you have her fail in the first movie? Like, she's really bad and she's scared because it's like her first missions or whatnot. And then people can sympathize with the character. It's like, okay, she's really bad, she's scared, but she's trying. And then the next movie, she can get experience and she can be better because, hey, you know, she spent time with James Bond, so she had a good master. She managed to learn a lot under his apprenticeship. That would be great. No, I guess the word master isn't proper. Like, I shouldn't be used that. All right, my bad. You know, I'm going to stop the video now because that was bad. I just realized, you know, English isn't my main language, so I'm really sorry. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.